Hey there, my Stampin' friends. How are you? This is Lori Mueller coming to you on Sunday for another episode of Sunday Stampin' Dreams. I am really excited about this project that I'm going to share with you simply because I haven't played with it a whole lot. I did show off a couple of the color combinations that come from the designer series paper. It's the Penguin Playmates, and it has some beautiful color combinations in there. The soft sea foam, the just jade, fresh freesia, misty moonlight, and I know that there's another color in there, but I've forgotten it right now. But soft sea foam. And hi, Clarine and Julie, Linda. Thank you so much for joining me. I am now going to show off the actual designer series paper, and this is paper that you can earn free with a qualifying order. It's a $50 order, and we are in the middle of Sale-A-Bration. So we are celebrating by giving you something free from a selection of products that Stampin' Up! Has offered with your $50 purchase. Hi, Debbie, DNC, or DCNC, sorry, I missed one letter in there. So good to see you guys. So I am in the middle of Sale-A-Bration. Well, we all are, where with your $50 purchase or $100 purchase, you can select one or two or one big item with your $100 item, or $100 purchase. But the colors and the patterns in this free selection of designer series paper are so adorable that Stampin' Up! Was pretty smart when they designed the series paper to coordinate with the Penguin Place bundle that you can find in the July through December mini catalog. So those two will coordinate. You can use the stamp set and the punch with the paper, or you can just use the punch with the papers, or you can just do one of each of the three, however you want to make up your creation. Hi, Barb. So good to see everyone. I am also having a lot of fun. I don't know if anybody saw my last card creation, but using the different color combinations that came with different designer series papers. And that is and has been my main focus lately to start with a project, is to pick my color combinations. And so with the Penguin Playmates, I can just revert back to the cardboard insert that comes with it, and it has all the colors listed in there, and I can kind of pick and choose what combos, if not all of them, that I want to incorporate into my creation. So I just absolutely love that I don't have to guess, because some of our shades of greens or yellows are really pretty close. They're just like an off color or an off shade of each other, and if you don't know your colors really well, it can be a guessing game. And I love that the color coordinations between the designer papers, the cardstocks, the inks, and any embellishments or accessories all work together super nicely. So I am ready to share my little creation. I am also incorporating the stamp set that you can get free when you host a party and your party reaches $300. So you can get this one absolutely free. It does not steal away from your Stampin' rewards that you would get with that $300 party. This is out and out free stamp set, and I know this is backwards, but if you have 6 friends, and you can count yourself as one of those 6, and each of you place a $50 order, each of you will then get to select a free item out of the Sale-A-Bration catalog, plus whoever hosts this will get that stamp set for free as well. and Stampin' Rewards. So you get at least, at that, it'll be over $30 worth of free shopping that you can tack on top of your $50 order. So not only is it a win-win, a big win for the hostess, but it's a win-win for all of your guests as well, because they, with their $50 order in support of you as the hostess, will also get to choose a free product out of the Sale-A-Bration catalog. So let me know if you wish to host a party to earn that free stamp set, and then also help your friends reward themselves with their purchase. So I am here to help you. And if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. And if you don't have any of the catalogs and you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to send you out our current catalogs as well. So got to get all this great inspiration in your hands, because there's nothing like looking at the actual pages versus online. I know a lot of us revert to YouTube and Pinterest and things like that to look and get inspiration, but there's nothing like having the actual pages of a catalog in your hand. So hi Holly, so good to see you. I am going live right now. So if you see the red button up in the corner, you are live with me. Thank you so much for joining me. But if you happen to catch my video afterwards on YouTube or on one of my blog posts, you will be able to watch this as a replay and again in case there's one little tip that you wanted to jot down or screenshot or whatever. But I am so thankful for you joining with me or catching up with me at a later time. It just makes me so happy. So hi Amy, there's Barb and Julie. So why don't we get started? All right, so as I had mentioned, this is our Sale-A-Bration time right now, and we are celebrating for 2 months, for the month of August and September, and we are focusing today on our project using the free selection of designer series paper called Penguin Playmates, and it coordinates with our Penguin bundle, the Penguin Place bundle in our mini catalog. So this page showcases the stamp set and the punch, which I have right here. And you can get them together as a bundle and save 10%, or you can purchase them individually if you like. But eventually, I'm certain you're going to want them as a bundle. So if you purchase them separately, you can, but otherwise you save 10% when you purchase it as a bundle. And then look at all this great inspiration right here. How cute is this little guy? And then a lot of these characters come from our designer series paper, which you will see right here. So super, super cute. All right, I am also featuring the In Your Words sentiment stamp set that you can purchase, or not, I'm sorry, no, you don't purchase, you get it for free with your qualifying hostess order. So you get this out and out for free when your party reaches $300, and then you'd also get 12% of that $300 in host rewards. So you not only get this, which I'm guessing is valued at $25 or maybe even more, and then you also get 12% of host rewards for free, or for continued free shopping. So I have had lots of fun with this stamp set, just because they are sentiments that you don't see in our traditional or typical stamp sets in the catalog. So it's kind of a conglomerate of sentiments or sayings that you might hear one say on occasion, but just it's not really connected to any particular occasion. So I am going to focus on this Hope Your Day is Fantabulistic, which is fabulous and fantastic all in one. I think that is so fun of a sentiment right there. So today's card, are you ready? Oh, so excited. So here is my card that I want to share with you today and show you how to create this little fancy fold right here. Now I've seen this referred to as a curtain fold or a drapery fold, which those of us that might still have curtains on our windows, or maybe not, just depends on your home interior taste. But this is kind of like a little drapery pleat that you will create using designer series paper, and it is very much recommended that you use a two-sided patterned paper, which Stampin' Up, that's what we offer as two-sided designer series paper. So this pattern is also from the Penguin Playmates as well as this one. And this little guy, so cute. You couldn't have picked a better character, in my opinion, to really celebrate and emphasize the sentiment for this particular card. I just thought it was so super cute. I do have a Misty Moonlight card base, and then I am using some of the new, it's in the mini catalog, it's the white glittered organdy ribbon. And I think you can see a little bit of sparkle in there, in that little organdy ribbon. Just had a little, have to have a little bit of an accessory. I was thinking of, not having anything, but could you imagine how dull? I don't know. In my opinion, I thought I needed a little oomph in there. But I used a layer of soft seafoam cardstock here, but then I matted this layer with the Just Jade. So in all of the colors connected here, I am pulling all of them from the designer series paper pack that lists the colors that are implemented or incorporated into that pack. So I've got a little bit of everything in there. And yeah, just so super cute. Now the plus thing is that this punch will actually punch out one of the characters in our designer series paper. And it happens to be this one right here. And to avoid, all of these extra areas that are, it's a builder punch. So what you would have to do is actually cut out your image right here, which is what I did. And then I used a strip of Post-it note, and this is my tacky end of the Post-it note right here. I just used a little strip that I used it as my handle. So so you can see that I punched my little guy from here. But when I opened my punch, I slid my piece of paper in through here and lined him up, and then I punched him out. So that's how you can avoid, this portion, the web feet and the interior chest cavity of your penguin from cutting out any other pieces, because first of all, the way that these are set up, you can't enter your punch from here. Now if I had one like this, for instance, I could line my penguin up at the top, but look what's going to happen with the body. I'm going to cut off my little polar bear's head. And I didn't want to have that happen. So you would just end up hand cutting out your piece and then setting it up with a Post-it note like that. So, and then, you can do the same thing. There's a lot of paper snipping. So if you're not fond of paper snipping, then you're going to want to just rely on the back side, or you can use this as a background piece as well. So, but this polar bear and the little fox, are great images that you can cut out while watching TV or sitting at a ball game, or, pretending to be reading a book or at a book club. So, but anyway, that's a fun thing about this builder punch and the designer series paper. So I'm going to set those aside. So I decided to go with the larger character. The reason I didn't go with this little guy is because he was little. I wanted something a little bit bigger, and I just felt like he was going to drown in all those polka dots. So I went with the larger characters, which is another pattern of the designer series paper. And any of these would be just as cute on this circle. Could you imagine the little fox or even the polar bear on there? You know, super, super cute. And then you could even hand cut out some of these trees and use them as accents as well. Or again, you can just use the background paper that I've used right there. All right, so let's get started with our card. I'll set that aside, and I've done up the measurements of my card, and I'll leave this here for any screenshots or snippets that you wish to take. Now, down here are the folding, the score folds for the curtain fold, and I have 2 rows of them, so it's a continuance. Because there are so many folds that are involved in this. So you would start from here, and then it just continues on to 10.5 inches. So, all right. So we have to start with our Misty Moonlight card base, and I did already score it at 5.5. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish that. And I'm curious of your thoughts. I've kind of updated my lighting for sharing my card classes online. So I'm interested in knowing, is it too bright? Is it right amount of brightness? I really want to make certain that I have a nice clarity with my lighting for you. So all right, now next we have the soft seafoam layer that is going to be the majority of our card front. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I suggest stamping this first because one of 2 things. If you don't like the first time, you can flip it or flip it this way, so you get several opportunities to fix or adjust your stamping, which is really fun because no one's going to see any of the others, because you know the designer series paper covers it here, and then you've got 4 sides on, well, 2 actually on the back side if you needed to flip it. So I'm using the Fantabulistic Sentiment from the In Your Words stamp set. That's the free host set, and I'm using Memento ink, and I want to make certain I get it nice and inked up. And I want to have it towards the bottom of my matted layer here. And I'm going to try and get it nice and straight. And because my block is larger than my image, I want to make certain that I press in the center to avoid any rocking, because I feel like it's a little bit of a rocker sentiment. And there we go. Okay, so we can set that aside. So I'm happy with that. And next we are going to bring in our designer series paper, and I measured it so that you don't see any border. You know, I don't see any border like this. I'm going to go flush with that piece and add my adhesive. And while I'm doing this, I want to send out my thoughts and prayers to anyone who is in harm's way of Hurricane Ida, who is, you know, serving our military right now overseas with this situation in Afghanistan. I do have a nephew who is stationed over there right now, trying to help with the evacuation. So my thoughts and prayers to anyone who has relatives, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, who are caught in that arrangement as well. So yeah, just makes my stomach churn right now. So then I went ahead and die cut. I pre-die cut these already using the layering circles, and my layering circle is this one from this direction and the matching matted section of the scallop right next to it. So I went ahead and die cut that, and I'll adhere that here to this piece. All right, and get it nice and even around there. I love the liquid glue. It allows me to kind of swishel around. All right, so at this point, we are done with this as far as we can go with this section. So I'm going to set that aside, and I am now going to show you how to create the curtain fold or the pleats or the drapery portion of our card. So I have here a 4x12, and the end result will be that you will get 2 pieces. So you can make 2 cards with one 4x12, all right? And when I was deciding my papers, I wanted to have some a little bit bold, and then a couple of pieces that were not as, contrasting, that would steal the show. And so as you can see, I used this as the top portion. I used this as my pleats because I liked the color that was involved. And then this really helps set the tone to set off my penguin. Now you could, I suppose, use any of these back sides. They're more character type background, or the back sides are more characters. So I went with more of the smaller, subtle, yet bold patterns of this free designer series paper. Now I do have to share with you that when I was first testing this out, because I have a little trick to share with you on how to cut your diagonal, because you will end up cutting it at a diagonal. All right, so this is what my original, I use scrap paper. I never rely on my first attempts to work out nicely with my designer series paper. So I used scrap paper, and as you can see, my first cut, I did it wrong. So I am here to share with you what I did wrong, and hopefully we'll learn from that. But I do know that I need to cut this to 4 inches. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer right here, and because this is, I'm down to scraps right now, so I'm going to cut at 4 inches like that, and get my, there we go. So we now have a 4x12 piece of designer paper, and then I need to keep my trimmer here because you have one of 2 ways that you can, all right, all of a sudden I'm starting to freak out. Yes, that is. You have one of 2 ways that you can get your designer series paper angled. And maybe if I turn it this way, you could, if you wanted, measure up 1 inch on this corner and measure down 1 inch from this corner, and then, you know, with your tick marks, line it up on your trimmer and cut it here. But I love that our Stampin' Up! Trimmer has measurements on both sides of the cutting track, okay? And this is going to be so cool because you can actually avoid having to do those measurements and tick marking simply because we have these measurements already, you know, available for us here. So what you're going to do is measure one side. So I want this side on the upper section of my track. This is sideways, so you have to give me a second to adjust looking at it sideways. So I want to line it up with my 1 inch mark over here, okay, because I want my track, you know, it's going to start cutting right here. But this section, I want to kind of pivot to my 1 inch marking here. All right, so I know that it goes in a bit right there. So that's my 1 inch, and I'm gonna look again to make certain that I'm at 1 inch on this corner right here, right there. All right, so I have my 1 inch on this side of the track and this 1 inch on that side of the track. So all I have to do now, let me get my scoring, yep, there we go. We'll just pull it out of there. All right, so I have my cutting blade, and now I can just go like that, and there we go. All right, so I'm gonna pull it apart, and now you can see I have 2 pieces that will allow me to create 2 cards. And when you flip them around, they should be nice and even. All right, yay. So I hope you enjoyed that little tip. It really makes one little step go so much easier. And I'll put my blade in there later. All right, so I only need 1, but I can make another card here in a little bit. So the next part is to create the pleat. And the best way is to use one of my favorite tools, is the Simply Scored tool. All right, and I'm going to line up the long end up at the top, and then I'm going to bring in all my measurements. All right, so I'm going to cheat and look off to the side for all my measurements. Let's see, I could actually bring it here so that you can kind of follow along with me as well. All right, so I need 1 inch. I'm going to score down. I'm going to go 2.5, 3 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 5/8, which is 1 tick after 5 1/2, 7 1/4, 8 1/4, 9 3/4, and then 10 1/2, like that. All right, so let's set that aside, and we're done with the Simply Scored tool. And see how I was able to do all that with 1 tool. Otherwise, we do have our scoring tool on our trimmer that you could do, but you would have to rotate, you would have to keep slipping your paper, to the left or right or whatever. And sometimes they, if it's not right on target, it could throw off things a little bit. All right, so we have all of our score marks. I don't go very hard or heavy, simply because the Designer Series paper is not as thick or as resistant to tearing when I do my scoring. Okay, so I'm going to, the first one, I want to fold down on that score, and I'm not going to burnish these until the very end, and I'll show you why once we get to that point. So I'm going to score here, and then my next one, I'm going to do a fan fold, but I do want to make them flush towards the top. And then the next one like that. And so you just continue until you have all of your folds made. And then again, you want to make certain you kind of at least monitor the top part so that they are flush, like that. You don't want to burnish, like that. So kind of bring that up. And just the pressure of my finger is sufficient for now. All right, and then we will do this and one more like that. Okay, and that's how we get our draper fold. Super cute, right? Super fun as well. All right, next we want to, we are at the point now that we can start adding the majority of our components. So I'm going to go ahead and add our soft seafoam layer to the front of our card. And oh, Linda, thank you for sharing how helpful that was to leave my notes on the scoring tool. Yeah, that is so good to know. Thank you very much for sharing that. I like to be helpful and know that I'm giving some great tips. So, you know, if you ever enjoy or really appreciate something that I've shared, I love when you tell me that, because it just warms my heart. But also too, if there's something you wish I would have done a little bit differently, or you know, or maybe you know of an easier way of doing it, I'd love to hear that as well. So you know, we're here to share with everyone, and yeah, that just makes my heart warm. All right, so next up is to add our little drapery fold. And now I see that I may have either shifted my paper or something, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my fold so that they are on the, otherwise, you know, I could leave it with a border, but I really like how it was flush. I'm going to try and mimic my first card. And so I'm going to pull it out and leave that here. And then I'm going to kind of force a new fold where it seemed to be natural. And I think you'll know what I am describing if you plan to make this card. So now that I have the width that I want, now I can burnish. All right, so hopefully that makes sense as to why I didn't do my burnishing right off the Simply Scored tool, but to wait until I line it up with my card. And it would be the same as if you were working with the matted layer and you wanted, now here I could just trim off and it wouldn't be any issue, but I want to make certain that I'm going from edge to edge with my drapery fold. So, all right, so that is a fun little tip. Next up, I'm going to add my curtain fold or drapery fold, however, to my card front, and I'm going to add liquid glue, just a couple rows of it. I'm not going to go all the way down. Kind of like that idea of not having everything fastened heavily, so I want to make certain also to position this where I'm not overlapping, or I'm giving nice ample space for our sentiment. All right, and then like that, make certain I'm straight across. Yay! Oh, that worked out well. All right, and if you wanted, you know, if you wanted to give it more spacing down here, you can just shift up. No worries on that. Now, these pleats do need a little bit of help of being held down. Now, you could do one of two things. You could, you know, pop in a little glue dot in there if you wanted, or you can just use a stream of liquid glue, just like that. It's easier to put that in between the pleats than any of our Stampin' Seal. So either the glue dots that you can just kind of stuff underneath, or liquid glue. Either one is going to work. All right, next we want to kind of hide or give a little bit of accent to separate the two patterns so it's not so abrupt like that. Now, the one thing about it is your pleat, if you can see, it adds a little bit of a thickness layer right there, right? So what I'm recommending is that either with, you know, a light hand of Stampin' Seal, or I'm relying on my liquid glue again, I'm going across this section right here, because the other half of my Misty Moonlight is not going to touch this part. It'll actually kind of stand in the air a little bit because of that depth that the curtain fold creates. And so I'm just going over, I'm centering my strip across that fold like that. Make certain I got it straight. There we go. All right. Next is to bring in our scallop layer. And again, we are going to have a little bit of a gap right here. So I recommend that you only put dimensionals at the top section of your piece. And because we're not working with any, you know, directional patterns, we can add our dimensionals towards the upper half, and we'll just go like that. And then I want to make certain that that stands at the half, so I'm resting my circle right at the top of this band right here. I can feel, you know, that they're lined up, and I can put that down just like that. Now, if you wanted, again, you could put liquid glue under here or glue dots, either one, to keep that in place, just like that. All right, getting there, super cute. All right, next we are going to, oh, whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to cut out one of our little characters again. So again, if you're not into paper snipping or, you know, hand cutting out images, you know, there's other means that you can go. Now, my polar bear is a little bit too big. He would, you know, end up hiding all of that. This fox would be kind of cute, but I think I'm going to stick with the penguin again. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this guy out. I'll do the fast route first, and then take my time. Now, I don't have this technique of, you know, moving my paper with my scissors. There's a way to really speed up the process of hand cutting, and it's to, you know, use your scissors in a cutting motion, but use your left hand, or depending on if you're left-handed and you're holding the paper with the right, move your paper in your direction that your scissors are going to be cutting in. And I find myself doing a mix. I move my scissors and then I'll move my paper. So I'm not a very good example for making this a nice smooth transition, but it seems to work for me. And then I'm just giving it a slight little border around my character here. And like I said, you could do this, you know, if you have a bunch of these that you're wanting to put together. Great time to do this at a ball game, you know, if you have children that are in soccer or football or baseball, or dance. I have some friends that their daughters are in dance, you know, or sitting in front of the TV with the hubby or by yourself. However you like to pass the time away and double dip with that time. All right, so we're getting closer. Get around his little webbed feet here. Oop, almost cut one off. That would not look good. And then kind of guessing where the belly is, because it's white on white. Let's see, I think I got it. Here we go. One little web toe to go. And there we go. And there's our little character. So you can see that when I punched out one of my penguins from the other pattern, he was just too little, you know, for that sort. Now I could have probably had a smaller circle, but at the time I had already cut this one, but this one just happened to fit perfectly in there. So I'm gonna add some dimensionals to this little guy and get him all set up, and then I'm gonna mix it with some minis. I like to make certain that my little guy is going to be stable and propped up nicely. Let's see. I like to press to see if there's any sinking. I think we're good. Okay, so now we'll remove all those. I just can't believe how fun these little characters are. I don't know, I love, penguins are my favorite animal anyway. Well, I mean, I love dogs, I love cats. But when I go to the zoo, the penguins are what I could just sit there and spend hours watching. They're just so stinking cute. And I put him at a little kitty wampus because, you know, it's he looks like he's celebrating, like, have a fantabulistic day. All right, now next is to create our bow. And then we are pretty much done. Oh, and I wanted to share with you, every time I hold my ribbons with a pin. I go and get my pins, a bulk of them at my local sewing shop, and that's how I keep them together. And I'll set it down, but invariably I'll have my scissors. Did you know that they're magnetic? It's like, I love it. So anytime I want to, if I'm struggling to pick it up, I'll take my scissors and boom, there's a magnet built into these scissors. So didn't know if anybody else knew that, but I thought it was kind of cool. Oh, so anyway, here we go with our bow, and I'm just gonna create a, ooh, I'm getting down to the very bottom of my, you can tell I like my little organic bow, or my ribbon. I'm down to the almost bottom of it. All right, let's see if this is gonna work for me. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could create a fork bow. Let's see, is that not gonna, there we go. And I want to have a little bit smaller ears. There we go. And I'm gonna kind of twist that tail around a little bit, like that. There we go. Oh, now I got one ear bigger than the rest. Okay, now I'm gonna give it a little bit of an angle cut, like that, like that. And add a couple of glue dots. I'm going to make this ear a little bit smaller over here. There we go. So I'm going to bring in my glue dots. And I'm going to add a couple of them there, just for posterity, to make certain that it holds. And tack it down right there. And there we have it. Our fun little penguin. Now, one thing that you can do with the smaller punched, oh, look at all that glitter, is once you insert, because you're going to want a lighter colored piece of cardstock on the inside so you can, you know, see what you're writing. But you can add this little guy to the inside. So how cute is that? So he's not wasted. He's going to find a little home on the inside. And if you wanted, you know, hope your day is fantabulistic, then you could actually, if you wanted, add, you know, another sentiment, you know, whether it's birthday, season's greetings, or I like you a lottle. You know, you can add a little sentiment that is dressed up next to him on your insert. So, but that is my creation for today. So if you are interested in making a purchase, place your $35 order using this host code, and you will get the supplies to create enough to create 2 of this card and then 1 other design. And then that'll be free, but use this host code so I know that that's what you're gearing towards. If you would like to host a party to get this stamp set, which is where this one came from, let me know and I will get you all set up. But the big one is the best club of all. The best bundle is if you were to join my Stampin' Up family. And with that, you would play, your kit is $99. You get to choose $125 in product, and you get to choose one of these free bundles. One of these bundles that are pictured here, you get to choose for free. And these are ranging between $35 and almost $60. And so it's an amazing deal. Not only do you get $125 in product, but then tack on, let's say the most expensive, close to 60, that's actually 80 some dollars worth of free product for your 99. So you're not losing out on anything. You're gaining, a whole lot of product for literally almost $18 if you choose the most expensive one. So let me know if you would like to join my Stampin' Up! Family. It's Lori's Dream Team. And then my last reminder, I'm still taking or accepting members into our In Color Club. It is $59, and with this, during August and September, you can choose a free Sale-A-Bration order or an item with your In Color Club. So this is only good, during Sale-A-Bration, but my In Color Club is good all year round. So, but I just thought, an added bonus for joining my club this month and next month, you would get to choose a free Sale-A-Bration item with the beginning of your In Color Club entry. So it's good for 5 months. The club is 5 months long because you'll get a color each of the 5 months. And it would be great to add you to our club. So, but you'll have to let me know what you thought of this card, and hopefully you'll find yourself wanting to create it. Let's get ourselves flipped around here. All right. See if I'm straight. So what'd you think? Wasn't it so adorable? And that curtain fold or drapery fold is another term for it, is really, really fun. And I'm hoping that I laid it out in a good way that it's understandable and replicatable, and will want you to go running to your stamping room or your area that you craft in and want to make one right away. So your pleats can be as many or as few as you would like, depending on the angle of your card. So maybe you want to have it horizontal versus portrait. So just kind of play around with it and see what you come up with, and pick on a designer series paper pack that is appealing to you right now. There's so many of them in the annual catalog. There's a bunch of new ones in our mini catalog, and then there's several freebies that you can get with your qualifying order from the Sale-A-Bration catalog. So many papers to have fun with and create your own designs. So I am so thankful and blessed to have you join me today, or if you're stopping by at a later time, thank you so much for finding me and popping in. I'm very blessed, and I wish all my Stampin' friends a great rest of your Sunday afternoon, and I will see you next week. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.